Hello and welcome to the first look at the classic map project, and the map in question is Dragon Valley from Battlefield 2 and Battlefield Play for free, weirdly. Now DICE said for this vote that they didn't want to remake a map that had already been remade, but Battlefield Play for free doesn't seem to count. Because when it comes to Battlefield 2 maps that we wanted remaking, well, Strike at Karkand was number 1, Dragon Valley was number 2, but because Strike at Karkand was in Battlefield 3, they won't put it into Battlefield 4. However, they seem to be ignoring the fact that they've already reimagined Dragon's Valley in Battlefield 4. It's in the China Rising expansion and it's called Dragon's Pass. That, we were told, was a reimagining of Dragon's Valley. So we already have a better version of Dragon's Valley in Battlefield 4 called Dragon's Pass. So why have they remade Dragon's Valley? I'm not really sure. As you can see, the map is pretty much up and running. All the buildings are there, all the objects are there. The textures are a bit wonky. You're going to notice that most of the players in this game are actually invisible. And at certain points, my character will turn invisible as well. It's got a lot of glitches in it. At the moment, the map is kind of playable, but not really. Sometimes you sink through the ground, you can't drown when you're swimming, sometimes you can't get out of the water. There's a whole load of little bugs and glitches with this map. But the map is actually here, so I can show you it. Now I'm going to be running around as infantry, just because that's going to give you a better idea of the distances on this map. It is very big. Like Dragon's Pass, it's one of those maps where if you're infantry, you're kind of going to be stuck out of the way. It does have a good central point, or two central points in Dragon's Valley's case. So we have this point here, and we have the temple further up the hill. This is the only place really that you can get into a decent, reliable firefight, because Dragon's Valley is just too big to be an infantry map. It suffers from the fact that it's not really a very good vehicle map either. Now, one thing you can't criticise Dragon's Teeth for is its looks. It's a very beautiful map. It's got a lot of variation in its control points. It's got a lot of variation in the woodlands and the contours and the buildings. It is a great looking map, and it is a map on a massive scale. A perfect example of how good this map looks is the temple. This is the second of the control points that's on the island in the centre of the map, and on most maps this would be the main focal point. On Dragon's Valley it's just one of the 8 points on this map. The level of detail on all the points of interest on this map is really impressive, and it makes me think that either DICE have been working on bringing this map to Battlefield 4 for years, or they've now got some way of automatically bringing maps over and then finishing them off. This map is incredible. When it comes to the objectives and the points of interest, there's nothing like it. Battlefield 4 maps look pretty plain in comparison. I mean, look at the size of this temple and the detail and the finish on it. You've got all the buildings and the planters and the statues. It's all got unique elements for this area. And that's something we haven't really seen in Battlefield 4. We've had a lot of placeholders and items that are shared between maps. Another good example of the level of detail in this map is the village across the river. So I'll warp over to there and you can take a look. Because this village actually looks like people might have lived in it. It's not just a random collection of buildings and boxes. It actually has all the things you'd imagine of seeing in a village. So you've got a little market, you've got buckets, you've got waterfalls, you've got trees, you've got all the little things that you'd expect to find. It's a much nicer layout than we've seen in a lot of maps recently. Now, the level of detail and how pretty a map looks doesn't really affect how it plays. It does affect how immersed you feel in the experience, and let's face it, in Battlefield 4, a map that doesn't have those grey ammo containers piled up all over the place is a nice change. Right, so let's address why I think this large scale map isn't a very good vehicle map. Well, essentially you have two ends of the map, both of which you can have vehicle fights on. But down the sides of the map, as you can see on the left here, all you have is a narrow strip with a road on it that lets you get vehicles from one side of the map to the other. So while you can have vehicle fights at the end, to get to those endpoints you have to go down very narrow, very vulnerable roads. It just doesn't make for a good map. Dragon's Pass has lots of wide open areas where you can move the tanks around, flank out to the sides, try and get around the enemy tanks. On Dragon's Valley, unfortunately, you are filtered down these side roads and it's very easy to get picked off by helicopters and jets and engineers. So it's not got the large scale tank battles on this map, even though it does have a large number of vehicles. Another problem is a large number of those vehicles appear back in the player spawn and it's a long way from the action. So a lot of times people don't want to spawn back to get the tanks because you've then got a 5-minute drive to try and get the tanks to somewhere where it's actually going to be useful. The helicopters and jets are often just grabbed and crashed into the island in the centre by somebody who wants to get back into the infantry fight. So vehicles on this map don't have the greatest time, and I'm not exactly sure how they're going to fix it. They have said that they want to fix some of the issues that the original version of Dragon's Valley had, but I'm pretty sure that's what they did in Dragon's Pass. Dragon's Pass is a pretty good map for armour and jets and helicopters. It's not a great infantry map, but then no map on that scale ever is a great infantry map. What they're going to do to Dragon's Valley, I'm not sure, because I can't see how they're going to fix the problem of the two side roads. But let's face it, if they don't fix anything on this map, just recreate what was in Battlefield 2, we're still going to get a really nice looking large scale map. It's going to be free and it's going to be available to anybody who plays Battlefield 4. So that's going to expand the map pool to all players. And if you consider we're also going to be getting the night maps and the community map project, and we've already had the weapons crate DLC with its new weapons and the gunmaster mode, this is an awful lot of work to be doing on a game that came out in 2013. But if they keep people interested in Battlefield 4, they can keep the player count up, then there's a reason why new players will buy it. If you look at playing Battlefield 4 or playing Hardline at the moment, if you're on PC, Battlefield 4 is the obvious choice. So while Dragon's Valley wouldn't have been my choice of map to bring back, I ain't going to complain that they're giving me something for free. Thanks for watching.